are a lot of issues out there today about censorship with regard to social media and the media. And it's not just censorship, it's interference, actual interference with social media and the media. And of course, who is the master of that? Vice presidential and current presidential candidate Joe Biden. He and his campaign interfered in Freedom Watch's YouTube channel, which I broadcast on, so it interfered with me. I'm the chairman of Freedom Watch. Back about a year ago, when I did a show on this particular network that said that I was going to put Biden in front of a citizen's grand jury and seek his indictment for having laundered money from the Ukraine, Russia, China, and elsewhere. As usual, yours truly and Larry Klayman were ahead of our time. Now we know that he actually did it, thanks to his partner, Bobolinsky. Boobalinsky, I might call him, for that matter, because the guy is a boob. But he was extremely credible in an interview with Tucker Carlson. And, of course, their backup emails. In the case that I brought in Palm Beach County in Florida, I sought to take the deposition of Biden. I've noticed it up recently, and his campaign manager, Kate Beckenfield, who's a real piece of work. Okay, she interfered not just with our YouTube channel, but also with tweet postings and others by the president himself. This campaign knows no bounds. It will do whatever it can to get elected. Obviously, it's been lying through its teeth about the Ukraine, Russia, and elsewhere. And of course, Biden refuses to answer questions. He stays in his bunker in his basement in Delaware. And this is something which is very, very important. So anyway, I set the deposition for November 5th. I didn't want the court to be put in a spot that he would have to be deposed on the day of the election or before. I'd been hoping to take it sooner, but because of COVID, that wasn't possible. We offered to take it by video so Biden could do it in his bunker down there in Delaware. And today the thing came on for a hearing. There was a protective order filed by the lawyer for Biden, who is a gentleman, and we argued the motion. And the first thing the judge said was, Mr. Klayman, you have a right to take Joe Biden's deposition. And of course, I want to take the deposition of the campaign manager. The lawyer for Biden came back and said, well, you know, he's busy, he's got the campaign, and if he wins, he'll have to prepare for January 20th. And the judge said, no, we'll take the deposition before January 20th, even if he wins, whatever the case may be. Anyway, to make the long story short, the judge held off on the deposition for now, subject to a motion to dismiss by Biden and his campaign. But I do have the right to take limited discovery, that is, send out interrogatories. I intend to depose Google YouTube, which took all of our YouTube channels down, and Biden will be held to account. But what's very important is that this judge said right at the outset, I'm going to get the transcript and put it up on Freedom Watch's website and my personal website, freedomwatchusa.org and larryklayman.com, said you have the right to take Biden's deposition. And frankly, there aren't many judges who would have allowed it, given the way things are today. But we'll see what happens. And the case will move forward. And it is news that Biden's going to have to answer questions under oath. And if he lies, as he's been lying about the Ukraine and Russia and China and Kakistan and all the places that he took money through his son Hunter, it was laundered through Hunter, then he could be held in criminal contempt, also for perjury. Now, will the government ever hold him accountable? No. The Trump Justice Department wouldn't hold him accountable, nor would a Biden Justice Department, obviously. But Freedom Watch will hold him accountable, and it'll be yet another indictment put before a citizen's grand jury to seek his indictment, to seek his trial and conviction and sentencing, and to mete out the sentence peacefully and legally. Because Biden is not an honest person. I'm being very diplomatic this morning. Somehow I'm in a diplomatic mood. The guy is a sleazeball, and he will say anything and do anything to wriggle out of what needs to be done. And this is something that we need to hold public officials accountable. It's why I hope you get my book, It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry. It's now available for purchase at Amazon.com, at BarnesandNoble.com, at BooksAMillion.com, at Borders.com, all the major booksellers. Get it. Because in that book, I just don't say vote for Donald Trump. Larry Klayman personally, as I've said over and over again, I'm going to vote for him. I support him. I say that personally, not as the head of a public interest group. I don't tell people who to vote for. I can't. But personally, I can. And I'm telling you something right now, is that if Biden wins, and regrettably, there is a very good chance he may win, not only is this country going to be thrust into a socialist and communist gulag, a state, with all the radical leftists that are waiting for him, frankly, to expire. And I almost said it to the judge, but I didn't. I figured maybe discretion's the greater part of valor because things seem to be going in my favor, at least to some extent, which is quite unusual, I might add. But I don't even know that he's going to make it to January 20th. The guy looks like he's about ready to croak at any moment. I mean, that's why he stays out of the public view. They have to jack him up with some kind of medication. Maybe they're injecting adrenaline into him or God knows what. I mean, maybe he's taking some drug, maybe he's taking cocaine. I don't know, just to get him up. But this is something that really is very, very serious here. And he needs to be held accountable along with everybody else. He's not above the law. Of course, Bill Clinton had to be deposed in the Paula Jones lawsuit. We know that. This is something that needs to be done. The American people need to rise up. And I'm saying no matter who wins this election, this country is going to continue its downward slide. And we're on the ropes. And my book just doesn't say vote for Donald Trump or support this group or that group. I don't just say, hey, isn't it great we're getting documents, transparency in government, and then ask the government to do the job of the people? You know why the judges will allow documents to be turned over under Freedom of Information Act? Because the judges of both political parties know nothing will happen. So what's the harm? Turn over all the documents, even a laptop computer with regard to Hunter Biden. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. Get it out there because we know that the powers in Washington, like the Democrat and the Republican establishments, part of the same league, making money hand over fist, will protect each other and nothing will ever happen. Ask yourself, has anything ever happened? And that's why I say turn off Hannity. You don't want to hear that BS anymore. Just waste your time. It's a complete waste of time. Major breaking development. Justice just around the corner. This is going to happen. Bring on Joe DeGeneva. Bring on Sarah Carter. Bring on John Solomon. Major breaking development. New scandal. We're going to get justice. Well, we know we're not going to get justice. Nobody's been indicted. The Bidens, the Clintons, the Obamas, they're off limits, according to even Trump's attorney general, blowhard Bill. And of course, we know that's not going to happen with a Democrat attorney general. It's not going to happen with anybody. So that's why the American people need to rise up. We need to seize our legal system, take it back, just like our founding fathers did in 1776 from the Court of St. James, when the king stole our legal system and had his yes men on the bench. No judge, very few. This was a state court judge who's accountable to the people. He can be unelected as well as elected. And that's the difference with a federal judge. A federal judge would never even have said you have the right to take Biden's deposition. It wouldn't happen from either party. So we need to take the system back ourselves. And in my book, I go through the history of federal judges. Thomas Jefferson opposed them. He said because they're unelected, they would become despots. And yes, they have. And he said because of that, we'll again have to shed the blood of patriots. I don't want to shed the blood of patriots. I don't think Thomas Jefferson did either. And that's why get my book and see how we can get out of the mess that we're in right now. When I was a kid, Laurel and Hardy, Laurel used to say to Hardy, a fine mess you've gotten us into now, Ollie. Well, yes, we're in a mess. And our government, a non-existent government with no legal system, the American people, it's time to rise up. So go out and purchase my book. It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry, and see how we get it done. And turn off Hannity, turn off Fox News, and get to work. That's my message for today, which is a continuing message because it needs to be heard. God bless you. God bless your family. God save America. Remember, God is with us. And thank you for listening to me. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. And this weekend, you'll have my weekly radio show at radioamerica.com. You can find it at freedomwatchusa.org. Until then.